Today we're going to be talking about my top 5 tips for Bloons Card Storm. I think this will be helpful for you guys. Let's get into it. Also, if you're somebody who spends money in the game and you want to support me and my channel, go ahead and throw that code MOLTON there. It really helps out. So I was able to play Bloons Card Storm in beta, as well as get a little bit of early access to the game. So I've put in some hours and I've learned some things from my own mistakes that have cost me games that can hopefully help you not make the same mistakes that I do. So our first tip is that you don't need to always spend your gold, okay? I know that it seems really easy to be like, oh, I have this gold, I should spend it. But it's important to be a little bit more strategic, not only thinking about cards that you may be drawing that could give you combinations to use against your opponent to either affect their monkeys, to take out balloons, or to lower their health. So it's always important to jump in and not spend all of your money. Here's a great example of it. Turn 1, a lot of times you're not going to be able to do too much. Yeah, you might be able to put a balloon down and get yourself a little bit of Blutonium, but they could also have a free monkey that they can put down and do some damage to that, which could end up making it a waste. And then you could run into somebody who has red balloons and they play a bunch of zeros, but they also play blue balloons. And then you're like, oh my goodness, it's turn 2 and there's so much that I have to do. So an example of that would be skipping turn 1 so that you can play down the triple dart monkey or the boomerang monkey or something like that so that you're able to get that defense at the beginning. It's important. You know the saying, a good defense, what is it? The best offense is a good defense. I guess I don't know the saying, but it is important to have that defense down so that you can stop those people that are pushing and rushing. Because a lot of times, the people that throw all their balloons down early on, if you're able to defend those and not lose too much health, then a lot of times they don't really have too much late game stuff. They're just trying to push things in as quickly as they can. And then as you slowly build up, you're going to be able to catch them at the end of the game. I've had many games where I've been down to 100 health and my opponent has had 500 and I've ended up beating them because we were able to build up a good defense. So don't spend your money, be smart, make sure that you can defend potential pushes that they have. Another extra little bit of tip for you guys is bring the banana farm if you have it, as well as the gold balloons. And here's another little trick, especially if you're facing Quincy. Quincy's second Blutonium ability is called the perspective or the perceptive shot, and that automatically shoots balloons when they get played down. If you have the gold balloon, wait until Quincy has that ability, play it down. That'll give you 2 immediate gold, and then they're also going to have to deal damage to those balloons, so you can use them a little bit more effectively. Say you play down a gold balloon and they have a sniper, you're only going to get 1 gold from that. But if you wait for that perceptive shot and play it down, it's going to give you a little bit more gold, therefore giving you a bit of an advantage. Now this tip is probably the most important one here that I have had to learn so much because I have ADD and I get freaking distracted. Use your Blutonium before you play your balloons, okay? Now, I'm not saying always use it, because sometimes there are things like with Gwendolyn where you want to buff your monkeys, so don't just use it to throw out a fireball if you want your monkeys to be buffed. But so often, I will play a BFB, or play a big balloon, or whatever it may be, and I'm already full on Blutonium, especially if I'm playing Quincy. This happens the most, where Quincy only needs 9 to be full. And I'll play it, and I'm like, shoot, I could have used 3 of those shots. I could have done 90 free damage. If he was full, I could have done 90 free damage there, and then played another thing and gotten back up to having my own perceptive shot on Quincy. So make sure that you are paying attention to your Blutonium, using it when you can, when you need to. Don't just use it because, and then play your balloons to fill it back up. I know that sounds like a very noob thing, and I'm a noob. I'm not really a noob, but it took a while for me to remember that because I get distracted so easily. So make sure you're paying attention to your Blutonium. Another big tip here is to bring cards that draw, okay? When you have a 40 card deck, card draw is incredibly important. Now, thankfully, they do have cards like the supply drop, as well as the black balloon, restock, the white balloon, and the zebra balloon. All of these will help you with card draw. You need access to your deck. And so putting these in your deck so that you can use them is going to be important. You can only have 8 cards in your hand, so keep that in mind. You don't want to play a supply drop when you have 8 cards in your hand, because then you're not going to be able to draw all of those cards. So make sure you're aware of that as well. But card draw is incredibly important in Bloons Card Storm. Next tip is to save cards for a sneak attack. You don't want to just throw everything out when you can, because a lot of times people have shields or heals and things like that. And so you want to make sure that you can catch them off guard. An example of that would be the pink Bloon. Pink Bloon being a 4 cost that goes on that turn. You can play that. You can also fortify it, throwing 150 damage at them. But I got beat on my stream the other day to somebody who only had 4 cards left in their deck. So we played until like round 30 or something. They had 4 cards left in their deck. They went pink Bloon, fortify, fortify, and sent 300 damage to me on that final turn. I was not ready for it. If I had had a tack shooter down defensively or anything else, I would have been able to hold it down, because I think that I had like 280 health or something. And they were patient. They played really smart. They caught me off guard. So save those sorts of things so that you can really make a big push, kind of freak your opponent out, and then make them spend money on maybe things that they weren't planning on. So be sneaky. And then lastly, it's important to have a good spread of early, mid, and late game Bloons and monkeys. Yes, you can build a rush deck, but you have to be aware that card draw is something important in this game. And if your opponent is able to draw into some cards that help them defend or whatever, yes, you might be able to do a lot of damage. But if you just have all these cheap Bloons and then they start getting down towers, they start getting all their spells, they start getting all this kind of stuff, and they can wipe you out, then you're going to be in trouble. So you want to make sure that you have some late game BFBs, big cards like that. Or, like I just said, if you want to hold on to those pinks and those fortifieds and things like that, then that's going to work really, really well. But you need to be prepared to defend later as well. I've played people also who haven't put down a single monkey, and they were just playing Bloons with Quincy and then using Quincy to attack and all that kind of stuff. Does that work? Yes, but eventually it reaches its peak, and then your opponent, if they're able to defend well, is going to be able to push past you very, very quickly, because you don't have any monkeys that have gone down and built up, like the Wizard Monkey or the Spike-a-Pult, things like that. So just make sure that you've got a good little array. Now, if you want to play a rush deck and you don't really care, especially since there's no like leaderboards or anything in this game yet, then go ahead and do that. Have fun with that. You know, I think that that'll be awesome for you to experiment and have fun like that. But if you want to take things a little bit more seriously, then I would probably plan on having some early, mid, and late game possibilities for you in regards to defense as well as attack. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are my top 5 tips for Bloons Card Storm. Hope that this helped you out. Appreciate y'all supporting, and I'll see ya in the next one.